Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. A quick review of The Emilio Show. But before we get into any of that, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. This coming Friday, Disney is set to release all 8 episodes of The Emilio Show, which is all about the TikTok sensations Charli and Dixie. And in the US, they're all going to be available on Hulu, while internationally, they're all going to be available on Disney Plus as a Star original. And then down in Latin America, they'll then be on Star Plus. So we're getting the 8 episodes, and it kind of follows them earlier this year, where they're kind of going through the life of what they're doing. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I also tend to watch sometimes Total Divas, and kind of gave me off that vibe of kind of following them, following the family around. But it was a little bit more serious than I thought it was going to be, because I figured, with teenagers, it was going to be kind of a load of stuff that I'm not really interested in. There was a few moments where, her and their friends, they're all talking, and you're like, okay, they're kind of a bit bored of this. But it's a lot more deeper, because there's some problems going on with these two that they really got struggling with the concept of becoming really, really famous really quickly. So they end up moving out to Los Angeles, and that ends up with a whole host of problems. For example, Charli and Dixie trying to come find new friends. They end up kind of falling in with some group of other influencers who are massive on TikTok and YouTube, etc. Because they're kind of struggling to meet normal people. They've kind of fallen out with a lot of their old friends because they've either sewed stories, or they just don't relate to the life that they're living. So if they're with friends that are kind of living the same kind of life, they're obviously connecting a little bit better. They've also got some boyfriends in there, and they're also influencers, and it's all a little bit much. But I kind of enjoyed watching this and kind of getting a little bit deeper into the influencer culture at that level, because they're at such a different level than anything any of us could ever imagine. But obviously she just came from nowhere, so she still doesn't view herself as being famous, but it's kind of had the opposite effect of making her very withdrawn, very shy. She doesn't really want to do a lot differently. There's lots of big deals on the hand. They're doing lots of exciting things, but Charli just wants to get back to dancing, and she wants to train, and she feels like she's missing out on training because she's doing everything else, and she needs to be better because she's a perfectionist and there's so many eyes on her. I mean, she's got 125 million followers on TikTok, so there's so many people, and that's kind of bringing the nitpicking and people kind of trolling her. There was an episode about because she put one videos up and people wanted her to die, and she's having to deal with that, and more importantly how the parents are dealing with the teenagers dealing with all of this negative stuff. Dixie seems to be the one that's really struggling the most, because she is the sister of Charli. She only has maybe a third of the following, and a lot of people kind of look to her and go, well, you're only famous because you're a sister. She's trying to launch her singing career, and it's just not going the way that she wants. She's also really struggling not looking at comments and feeding in on all of this, and it's pretty depressing. She has a full-on breakdown. I mean, at the end of every episode there's a message about if you need help about mental health, and I thought that was pretty strong. They didn't hide away from the fact that the girls are struggling with that aspect with social media. And obviously, I mean, so many of us have to deal with social media and the negative aspects to it, of someone maybe not liking something, or all of that. And, I myself, I mean, I'm a tiny, have a bit of a following. And that, I get, hate messages and comments and stuff like that. And it is hard, but obviously I'm a 40-year-old man. I can take it a little bit differently to a teenager. The idea of being sort of 15, 16, 17-year-old and having to deal with this, yeah, it's really hard. So I found that aspect a little bit more interesting. I think looking at it from kind of going, wow, look what they have to deal with, and how are they dealing with it, and how are the parents dealing with it, the brand deal. And I think that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more. It's not quite as sugar-coated as I was expecting. I think it was going to be a little bit more, we're going to go off and do jumping today, and we're going to go. It wasn't really about that. Maybe COVID kind of stopped all that. There was this one moment when they went and had a date on the beach, and it was all kind of, the beach was all done up perfectly, and going, well, those kids have never done that. And also there's a little bit on the lines of, if that was real kids, that live around the block here, they'd be having maybe a stolen drink and some party poppers or something like that. Not a full-on setup. It just was a little bit over the top, and that's the difference of having a little bit of money. But overall, I kind of enjoyed this one. I mean, I've seen the first 5 episodes. I'm going to go watch the other 3 episodes this weekend when they drop. That was you know, I wasn't expecting that. So the fact that I want to watch the other episodes is definitely a cool thing for me. So I give this one like a 4 out of 5. It was a much bigger surprise than I was expecting. I wasn't too sure on the parents. They didn't seem to be in it a huge amount. They're kind of in this thing of going, well, we're really worried about our children. And then kind of you're hearing them what they're talking about and going, the only real thing is there's going to be, I think, a little bit of pressure on them going, well, if you don't want your kids doing this, why are you giving them a TV series? Why are you putting them all through this? You need to back off. But it must be really hard when you've got, you know, that much money and that influence and all this stuff coming in to be able to pull back and go back home and do your normal life after you've kind of living this kind of crazy life. And yeah, it is a very crazy story. I'm really glad it's there. They don't sugarcoat what's going on. They kind of maybe put it on a little bit too much. They're really trying to pull on that idea of not everything is great for them. And, you know, they are still kind of normal people. And I think that's kind of part of the branding of Dixie and also Charlie. But overall, I mean, I was impressed. I was not expecting to like it, but I did. And like I said, I'm going to be checking out those other episodes when I get a chance this weekend. But they'll be arriving, as I said, on Hulu in the United States, and then internationally on Disney Plus as a Star original. And it's great to see as well, we're getting all 8 episodes at the same time on Disney Plus, rather than kind of stretching them out. But yeah, but there we go. So that is that one. Let me know if you're going to be checking it out, and I shall see you guys soon. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.